Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel I would like to discuss lapidary work with an emphasis on carving jade and gemstones. Today I figured I would start out with talking about one of my favorite machines that I had come up with, but it's really just a bit different version of machines that are used all over the world, which are called fixed arbor carvers or point carvers. Please like, follow, get notifications, whatever, this page in order to keep it going. So here we go. This here, what you see, is just the basic carving setup. I have a motor hooked up to an arbor, and I have a Jacob's chuck, and I can run large wheels in here, fairly large. I only run about 4-inch, sometimes 6-inch, depending upon the speed. And the speed, you have to be careful to set the speed appropriate for the wheel or burr that you're using. And you can easily swap out numerous different wheels and burrs and all kinds of things really quick. You could run Genie wheels from Diamond Pacific, soft wheels, anything on here. I use different arbors here in order to mount wheels. I don't remember where I got them. I use like a sewing machine, a new modern sewing machine, brushless servo motor I just bought off of eBay, and it has variable speed setting and forward and reverse. I don't use reverse, just forward, and I set the speed according to the wheel I want to use. I hooked up so it's not a foot control, it's just a hand control. You can adjust it. I can easily swap that over and change it to a foot control. In it is a 1/2-inch by 4-inch very aggressive diamond burr or wheel that is excellent for removing a lot of material and cutting quickly. So you can see here that I can just, manipulate the stone against the wheel and do the shaping. And I'm not going to run the wheel and the fans and everything that I have to run to use this, because then you won't be able to hear anything that I'm saying. I have a drip system or water spray system. I have a little cloth bungeed on the end that keeps splash down. I have a dehumidifier running in the background because we get too much moisture built up in shops running a lot of water. I have a duct system here that ducts out of the house. So I have an 8-inch extraction fan, basically like a grow room fan or a greenhouse fan, heavy duty and rated for, moist conditions. And so I have this is reduced to a 4-inch, and then it ends up going all the way up. There's 2 of them for 2 different carving spots that run up to an 8-inch fan. So one 8-inch fan divided into 2 4-inch exhaust tubes running out of the house. And it's loud, but it does a very effective job of taking, dust that's hazardous out of the air. I just rig up quick splash shields out of cut old disposable plastic things that come with food or items you buy. I built a framework covered with vinyl upholstery on the inside. It doesn't have to be fancy, and really it shouldn't, because it's going to get really dirty anyways. And then you end up changing them because of different styles or methods that you think that you will prefer. I have a light, an LED long-armed clip light. Again, this was bought from an industrial sewing machine company. It's just a good quality light. It cost a fair amount of money, but it really works well, and it had a long, strong flexible gooseneck, so it gets where you need it to shine the light. Here's an example of the water. You just turned it on too much, and it's again, you could drip, you can get it set wherever you want. I use actual Lockline brand line because it's the only one I found that actually doesn't really leak. So anyways, that gets water where you need it. You always have to work the stone, or almost always have to work the stone wet, to save the diamond burrs that you're going to use, otherwise they wear out really fast, and to help keep dry dust out of the air. So if you have moisture going, water going on it, it captures a lot of that dry dust and gets it back in your splash pan here. I just use a rubber lunch bus from a restaurant supply store, but any kind of Tupperware, Rubbermaid, sort of whatever large basin will work. A sink will work. I have a sink on my other one. I use a pump. This was like $10. They're probably a lot more now. But these last forever. I just use a pump sprayer. I take off the spray nozzle wand, and I put a little bit of drip irrigation line in there, and I have it running up to the lock line. And anyways, fit it all together. You got to get adapters. Garden supply places often have water drip adapters, stuff like that. Hardware stores will have them. I have a flexible shaft carving tool. This is just a generic, not even an actual Fordham brand, but just a cheap generic one I picked up somewhere sometime. I have two brushless motors here, micro motors, with the controller here and one down here. These are fantastic. Really, you don't need high-end name brand expensive ones. A lot of them will work. I also used brushed models. They're not as smooth or efficient or high speed generally, and they won't last as long. But if you want to start carving, you can buy an $80, $90 marathon and carve. But if you have to remove a lot of material, you need something heavier duty than a micromotor. So if you're removing a lot of material, a big fixed arbor, using a saw to cut down your stone, and then using like a fixed arbor for rough grinding and taking off a lot of material to get down to a shape more like this. And at this point, then I will start using the Fordham, or more often the micromotors. And in the micromotors, you can use all kinds of different burrs. These are kind of larger burrs. A lot of these are more the ones that you would run in the flexible shaft, but the smaller ones might run in the micromotor. Burrs in cases like this are sold everywhere, all over, from very cheap to very expensive for usually almost the same thing. I'm sure a few different companies, possibly many companies, are making them and using the exact same package. Most of the ones that I've bought are about the same quality, and you should be able to find these for not too much money. I've seen them for, $25 or so. I've seen them for less, and I've seen them priced way higher than that. So if you look around, hopefully you can find them. And they come in different grits. This one is 150, I believe, which is actually pretty aggressive and pretty coarse, and will never leave a nice finish on any of your carvings. These are not high-grade burrs, but they do work. And these are all 1/8 inch shank. And a lot of micromotors have a 3/32 shank maximum, unless you special order a different collet setup for it. So you have to check with the micromotor that you have where you're going to get it, and make sure that it has, if you want to run 1/8 inch shank burrs, you got to make sure that it can run those. A lot of burrs coming out of China are odd measurement, so there's a lot of 3mm burrs that will never work very well in the 1/8 inch shanked micromotor chucks, or collet. So you got to make sure that you have the right size burr for the collet that you're running. The collets fit in the end here. Here's a little collet adapter or collet reducer sleeve. So this micromotor I have set up with a 3mm burr, so I can run the odd Chinese burrs, and then I have a reducer sleeve to a 3/32, and I have a really nice burr in here I bought from Lasco, and Lasco has great burrs for reasonable price for the quality, I believe. And they are higher quality, and they do cost a lot more than the Chinese burrs, but you can order specifically what you want, and they are going to leave a better finish and cut well. If you're a beginner carver, I often recommend getting cheaper burrs because you're just going to wear them out anyways. As a full-time carver, I buy oodles of cheap burrs and I buy oodles of expensive burrs. I buy every kind of burr imaginable, except for I have never invested in the really expensive sintered burrs. I just have not. I've used some sintered burrs, but I've never found them so far to be what I needed or really wanted to spend that much money on. And I'm sure that some are absolutely worth it and probably fantastic for certain uses, but